Carita Packs with Bowie TV at M&T Bank Stadium for the Baltimore Ravens home opener. It was an emotional day that started with tributes to Jacoby Jones and offensive line coach Joe D, whom the Ravens both lost this year. The vibes were good to start off the day, but unfortunately the Ravens fell 26-23 to the Las Vegas Raiders in what Ronnie Stanley said was a self-inflicted loss. Here's more.
This just felt more self-inflicted. I feel like there was many opportunities for us to, really put the nail in the coffin, and we just didn't end up doing that.
I'd say that's the perfect way to describe how this day went for the Baltimore Ravens. It started very shaky in the first half. The offense just could not get any momentum going. A lot of that had to do with Max Crosby just getting out of blocks and getting to Lamar Jackson, and he really disrupted this first half. He beat Patrick McCarry on several occasions, and that really set the tone for the first half of this game. But nonetheless, the Ravens went into halftime and they were able to bounce back, and they saw more success in the second half. They came out immediately and scored with a Zay Flowers touchdown, and Derrick Henry finally found his mojo. He had some big runs in that drive as well, and quite frankly, the run game did get better in the second half for Derrick Henry, and he credited that to better execution.
I just think execution. I was all executing in the run game, me doing my job, and the guys that are blocking, I'm doing theirs. It's the run game takes all 11, and they did a great job executing to get that started.
The Ravens were in the driver's seat for much of the second half, but there were two defining moments. A pass intended for Rashad Bateman was intercepted, which allowed the Raiders to score their first touchdown of the day. But the Ravens still had the lead. They were up by 10 with 10 minutes left. However, Brandon Stevens, he was called with a pass interference in the end zone on Davante Adams. Whether or not that was a good call is debatable. And according to new cornerback Eddie Jackson, he's not in agreement with the call either.
I'm not a ref or an official, but I feel like a couple of those was kind of BS calls. But, that's not my job. I'm a little biased, on the team. So
it was that penalty on Stevens and other penalties, as well as a series of bad decisions by the Ravens that eventually allowed Davante Adams to score, and the Raiders also were able to make 2 field goals, and that was basically the game. Afterwards, Coach Harbaugh said that it's a long season, but the next 15 games are going to define their season.
We're going to play a 17-game season, and we will be defined by the next 15 games. So that's going to be our objective, to play the best 15 games we can, be the best football team we can be. And if we do that, then we're going to have a really good season, have a shot to win.
Besides some of the lapses late in the fourth quarter, the defense played well overall. I did follow up with Roquan Smith after the game to see whether or not he felt like the communication improved, which was something he wasn't happy with last week. He said it did, but you could tell that he's still not completely satisfied with where it's at.
Roquan, you weren't as pleased with the communication last week. Did you feel like that at least improved this week on defense?
Yeah, the communication definitely improved from last week, but there was still some lapse in the communications in different situations throughout the game, and it's just something that we gotta improve on with the noise and everything like that. So it just got each and every guy.
The Ravens now find themselves at 0-2 with Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati coming up. Lamar Jackson said he's not used to being 0-2, but the overall sentiment is they have to figure out how to come together, put points on the board, and close these games out. This is Carita Packs. This has been your Ravens Rundown. Be sure to follow us at Bowie TV Sports on all social media platforms.